I've been monitoring my energy in my home since 2013. Crestron put out some product called Fusion that I got really excited about and put it in the home, and it was a lot of fun. But what I learned was I pretty much had a lot of information, but I wasn't doing anything with it. I kept monitoring and I'd store the data, and it was nice. It was nice to have that information. But it wasn't until October of 2017 that things really sort of started for Adapt with energy involvement. I received a phone call from a guy by the name of Blake Ricketta. He's the CEO of Sonnen USA. And Blake called me and he said, "Hey, would you like to work with us on controlling our battery?" And at the time, and I giggle as I say it a little bit because I didn't understand what that really meant. After a few phone calls, Blake and I, kicking ideas around and trying just, some thought process things, a lot of light bulbs went off. I began to understand what can happen when you start not only monitoring energy, but when you start controlling it and you start manipulating it and you start doing things with it based on real information. And that was really the beginning of what became Adapt Energy. From there, we began really thinking through what we can do with energy. And now, today, we're not only monitoring the energy, but we're controlling the energy at the breaker. We're also controlling energy by directly connecting our Adapt software to thermostats. We are scheduling energy. We're scheduling the battery to do different things at different times. And the homes that have Adapt Energy are now automated to a point where they just handle the energy that they need to based on the things that we've set. It's a beautiful thing now to look back and realize that, I guess that was 2013, makes a good 6 years ago that I started monitoring. And now to fast forward here today, I have an energy automated home. And I challenge anybody to think through all of the wonderful things that can happen when you start, involving yourself with energy. It's nice to sort of live an eco-forward thinking lifestyle. It's nice to have all the technology and things, but at the end of the day, there's a few key points that involving Adapt Energy and a battery and solar and things can really provide for you. So I want to touch on a few of those. First being resiliency. When the power goes out, and it unfortunately has happened more recently than it used to, because the load on the grid is more. So when that power goes out, I have battery storage. My home will work for a good 3 to 4 hours, powering most all of the equipment and lights and thermostats and all that stuff. But with one button, I can decide to do something very special. I can make that battery last a lot longer. I can actually hit one button and change that 3-hour period probably to something like 10 to 12 hours, only powering my essential loads. So that resiliency keeps my refrigerator running, keeps my lights on, keeps my internet going, keeps a lot of things that, to me, from a lifestyle, are essential. The second point I want to make past resiliency is the fact that we monitor weather. So Adapt Energy has the ability to know when there's severe weather in the area. Now, why would we even care about that? Well, it's simply because that's more normal to receive a power outage based on a weather event. There's an interesting statistic too about weather. Most people might think that you'll lose power because of a thunderstorm or a lightning strike to, say, a transformer or something like that, which is absolutely true, obviously. But the majority of power outages are actually occur by because of high wind. So a wind advisory is something that you would want to know about. Your home should know about. Now, when my home knows about a wind advisory, and I do have quite a few trees around me, the home actually does all of its protection things by itself because it's automated. So I first load balance the home, meaning I shut down certain things. I'm shutting down my hot water circulation pump. I'm shutting down my pool pump. I'm shutting the lights off. I'm lowering the shades. And I do all this because I want to take load off of the home, because the next step for Adapt Energy is to then make sure that battery, my battery storage, gets filled up as quickly as possible. That's a key component to our weather intelligence. We're monitoring, but we're also controlling. So because we're going to be using a lot of energy from the grid or potentially from solar to charge that battery, we take some of the load off the home in order to balance things out for you. So weather intelligence is another key component. And the third thing that I really, really enjoy, and I call this the power of a watt, is watching my family learn about energy in a very different way. I'm sure most of you have children who like to leave the lights on. I think everybody has probably dealt with that. And we've also heard the sayings probably from our parents. What, do you live in a barn? And these kind of things. Well, I was able to take my children through a process of understanding power in a very simple way, because I'm monitoring and my system can show them how much power we're using. So I take them to the touch screen. I show them right on the touch screen, we are right now using 2,000 watts. Then I ask them to turn their lights on in their bedroom. I have them turn the lights on in the bathroom as if they were waking up in the morning, getting ready, and they typically leave them on. So with all those lights on, that's 600 watts of power. And they were able to see this, and they saw this occur right before their eyes. They saw from 2,000 watts, we went to 2,600 watts. And then I was able to help them understand the difference in how much power what that really means, I guess, relative to a dollar and those types of things. So when I say the power of a watt, obviously a watt is power, but understanding is what I'm really talking about when I say the power of a watt, because that understanding has created a situation where my children no longer leave the lights on. They actually care a little bit because they know more. They're educated on this. They have information.